I've actually noticed that though in the world now, people have limited interaction with just social interaction in general.
People,
So
yeah.
people, yeah. So when they do get the opportunity to talk, like they can talk. I don't know if I guess you have noticed that, but like just going to pick up some pizza and homeboy at the register telling me his whole life story. I'm like, what? Come on, dog. The Celtics game about to start.
My dad will go to like the mailbox because he has a PO box that he sends like some of his bills to, and he'll go there and be there for like an hour because him and the guy working are just chopping it up about life.
Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Without a Roadmap. We are back here bringing you the product stories from product people who don't know all the answers. My name is Yonas. We're joined here by my co-host, Cameron Curry.
We're not doing the adjective before my name anymore, or we're just letting it roll for a little bit.
No, you got to come back to Boston to earn that. We don't like having you so far away. Cameron's in California. For those of you who don't know, he's been working out there.
Yep, but we are back on the podcast after taking a brief hiatus to kind of reflect and kind of chart the path forward to try to see what new content we can come up for you guys. We landed on trying to move forward with a new series-based approach. So a group of episodes dedicated or around the similar topic to kind of create a series so it's more focused and that we can kind of hopefully produce some better content for you all.
One of the things that we've been hearing a ton lately, especially from like folks early in their careers as PMs or aspiring PMs, and that's essentially our main audience, is for us to go a little bit more deeply into some of the kind of common myths and misconceptions that we've experienced or heard about the product management role. So that's this series. We wanted to kind of just dive deep into some of those myths that everybody's hearing and try and dissect them a little bit, try and understand why whether or not they're true from our experience at least, and then kind of how they may have kind of come about.
Today we're going to talk through three of them. I'll just list them real quick before we dive into each one a little bit more in detail. The first one being product managers are like the mini CEOs of their product. Second one being product managers or sole decision makers within the product function within a company. And then also talking about the difference versus a product manager and a project manager. So those are three we're going to try to tackle today. And so we'll let Yonas kick off the first one.
Yeah. So yeah, product managers being the mini CEOs or the CEO of the product. That's one of the most common things I would see and hear before getting into like a product role. And that was honestly one of the things that enticed me. I was like, oh, that sounds like, it sounds like a really
lit.
Powerful role. Yeah. It's like, we have it sounds like the product manager is, somebody who's higher up in the hierarchy within a company, somebody who, has a lot of role in the direction of the company and the product. And, so I think that's, understandable why people think of product managers as the mini CEO if they don't know the actual day-to-day. But I wouldn't say that I'm, now that I've been in a product role for a few years, I wouldn't say that I'm disappointed that it's not the case. But first off, why people think product managers are the CEOs of the product. I think when you think of CEOs, you think of somebody who has a large amount of influence on the company. First off, also somebody who is not only influential, but, has people that report to them or is kind of reporting out to other people. And, when you think about the role of product managers, we have the word manager in the title. And I think it's a huge misnomer because like as a product manager, you're not managing anybody. You're really not even managing any one thing in particular. You're not managing the entire product. So I imagine that's where the first reason why people have that misconception.
Yeah, I agree. Like when you tell people that aren't too in tune with like the whole tech scene, startup scene, and you say you're a product manager, the first thing they think of is, oh, manager. Like, yeah,
Mm,
people, you're in charge of people. It's like
not
you
quite.
could be at some companies depending on how they're structuring the organization. But if you're like early in your product career, you're definitely not, I would say for the most part, you're not managing any person or a team. You're
Right.
kind of just like it's like you're not managing a person or a product. You're just kind of helping like the execution of the product development lifecycle. So like working with um, the engineers and the design teams to build new products.
Right, right. It's not an authority figure, for sure. But I think it's important that you're, capable of leading, and leading with authority. I think that's actually a better way of thinking about it. So you think about the roles and responsibilities of a product manager. It varies from company to company and industry to industry, but in a lot of cases, it's not really a leadership role where you're dictating the strategy or direction of the product. Maybe if you're a senior PM or a director or VP of PM or product, that might be something that falls within your roles and responsibilities. But your average frontline product manager is taking direction from somebody else,
Right.
and it is more focused on the day-to-day, more detailed work of trying to get somebody's product vision, whether that's the CEO or a more senior product leader on the team, taking that product vision and trying to kind of work from that vision and with the understanding of the customer, with the understanding of your product,
Right.
and with the understanding of a number of different variables, and like how your team works, to try and find an ideal solution to solve a customer problem. So
Exactly.
it's really working with the team, taking strategy from somebody higher than you, and by no means an authoritative figure, but somebody who needs to wrangle the team together in order to create a more streamlined process,
Right.
essentially.
It's pretty much like you said, taking that product strategy vision, whoever that's coming from. It could be the CEO, if you have a very product focused CEO like ourselves, like Keith, or it could be a senior product person or strategy person, and then really like reverse engineering that vision and really focusing on executing across the product engineering and design teams to build that vision out over time. Because you can't, like, the common phrase is Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't build the vision in a day. So it's like making sure you focus on the execution skills so you can reverse engineer that vision and plan things out in different phases to work your way up into that vision. Because along those lines, things are going to change. Customers are going to want different things, and the vision may ultimately like have subtle tweaks that you have to account for during the product development lifecycle.
And what about in the case of at a smaller company, product managers who run an entire area of the product? Like if you're a product manager for like the search experience or for the marketplace, think of product managers who have like product manager comma
Right.
XYZ in
Right.
their title. Like I'm curious your thoughts there. Like is there more or less kind of within their role, or more or less of a CEO of that area of the product, in your opinion?
I feel like when it's segmented into like different stuff like that, areas of the product or product pods, you probably have more
Ownership.
ownership of that area. And since you're just focused on like the search experience or the marketplace or like this specific page in the product, you're probably gonna have more time to like research um, and fill out competitors and probably have more opinions on the direction of that area the product should go, which I don't think, depending on the org, is you're not going to have the final say, but you will be able to kind of share your thoughts and ideas with whoever is setting that vision. And sometimes you're going to have good ideas that the product leader is going to want to implement, and sometimes you're not. And ultimately, I think we have a pretty good experience of reporting to Keith, who's the product leader and visionary here, and sharing our own ideas, which sometimes he likes and we go forward with, and also sometimes he doesn't think it's either the right time or we're way off in what we're thinking, and we just go with the
Mhm.
decision. So I feel like
Yeah.
us actually reporting to the CEO have a lot of experience with debunking the myth of product managers being CEOs.
hmm And even if you do have a lot of ownership, I feel like you're not like building whatever you want. You're generally, confined within some sort of, team OKRs that you're trying to like, build the products in support of. And those are generally coming from above you. So, I think that that's probably the closest is when you're a little bit more senior and able to kind of run the direction of a part of the product, but it's still within the realm of, pushing some, product strategy or business goal that's been defined, higher up.
Mhm. I think that's a good segue into the next myth we wanted to talk about with PMs, product managers being sole decision makers. I think, especially early in your career, like we just talked about, you're not going to have the authority or the type of say to just be like, hey, we're going to build this and we're going to go with it. Like, I don't care what anybody else says. We're building this. I'm calling the shots. Like, especially early in your career, and even as you move up, you probably won't have that type of role to make those calls. And then I feel like even as you move up, you shouldn't use like your role to just be like, hey, whatever I say goes, and we're gonna like just
Hmm.
do whatever I say. I'm calling the shots, no matter who you are. We're gonna build this. I feel like that kind of gets into some bad type of like team collaboration and communication with your team, because then you get in the situation where like the culture is that people can't share their ideas. People won't share their ideas because no matter what they say, we're always going to go with the decision of the product leader or the person that you are at the company.
Hmm. And that helps nobody because
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know a single product manager who would be able to make the best decisions on behalf of like both the design team, the engineering team, as well as the product team.
Yeah.
Without taking into account everybody's inputs, you're never really gonna make the best decisions because there's too much going on in the
Yeah.
development of a product for one person to make all the decisions. So the nice thing about like the thing that I like about the kind of cross-functional communication aspect of product management is that you learn so much about the different disciplines in the process of building a product.
Hmm.
I came into Parlor knowing very little about kind of the technical side, kind of database architecture, how things fit into one another, and that's because I came into the team like pretty late at my last company, whereas here we're kind of building the product out from scratch almost. So you start to understand like how all the pieces fit together and what the requirements are and like what's feasible and what's not.
Yeah.
And just being it's always so fun to have a product team meeting where we like ideate and come up with what we think is the way forward, and then we meet with the engineers separately to try and understand what's the effort required and how feasible is this. And they're like, okay, now you're gonna have to do this completely backwards. You
Yeah.
have to cut it into 3 phases. We're gonna actually cut this one out. And it's like, and that's not even like from a product manager's decision making. That's like from the top down. Like product people are always going to provide some sort of solution to what they think is going to help a user problem or user need, but it's not really going to be done with the context of all the engineering
Yeah.
requirements in mind, without understanding like the UX UI requirements. So it would make sense for us to try and be the only decision makers.
Yeah, exactly. Like to me, product management is all about collaboration, whether that's with like it should always be with the customers or prospective customers and what they need or what they want or what pain problems they're having in the market or currently by using your product. And also, like you said, with everybody involved internally, like all your coworkers from customer success, sales, engineering, design, and even executives, because everyone's going to have a different idea that's all valuable when you're trying to make a decision on the direction of the entire product or even a small feature. So I
Hmm.
think we've actually had a realization recently that features that we don't think are super impactful actually can make a big difference in like their overall usage of your product and making it a better user experience.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah,
remember,
no,
yeah, I remember
good.
it was like 2 weeks ago when we just started a new feature, and Keith was like, "No one's ever gonna use this. Like this is just us buying time." And then that turned into like our most requested feature, like literally 3 days later.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah, it's kind of I feel like the engineers, generally know best. So I've at this point I've defaulted, when we come up to them and present them with the way that we want to address things, like whatever they say goes.
Yeah, I
I've
mean, yeah, it's a good mentality to have because I think there's another misconception that like engineers like either say no because they over like estimate. If you're doing like the story point estimates, they estimate things larger because they don't want to do them. And I would say that engineers want to build the cool stuff too. It's just they just give the realistic approach into how long it's going to take.
hmm yeah, unless it's not cool stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
in that in that case, I might be a little bit more suspicious.
I mean, that also goes back into like our first point of product managers not being many CEOs because you don't have that authority, but it's also like influencing your coworkers without having that authority because sometimes people may not see the value in building a certain feature or whether that's the designers, engineers, so they don't really want to do it. So it's more so about like um, providing the why behind the reasons you want to make the decision to build XYZ. It's like
Yeah.
telling the story behind like why this is important, which should and hopefully ultimately convince people that this is a priority for us because the customer is going to see the value on building this feature and it's going to make our product a lot better in the long run and more valuable to our customers.
hmm Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the last one to end on is I think the maybe the biggest one in my opinion when I first was like looking at product managers is the product versus project manager debate. What's the
hmm
difference? Are they the same? Are they different? Why are they different? I want to hear your thoughts.
I was in the same boat. I definitely used project and product manager pretty like interchangeably when I was trying to get into the industry, even though I was like searching what the difference is. Like, I thought I understood it, but to me, it seemed like project management was a nice like way to get into the product field when that might be the case, but the roles are, very different. To me, project managers, it's kind of like the product manager can be a project manager, but a project manager isn't always a product manager. I don't know if that
Yeah,
you get
yeah, that
that.
makes sense. Yeah, it's like product management has some project manager responsibilities at times.
Or you could be a project manager.
Yeah,
Like
you
I
can be
think
both.
to a degree we kind of are.
Yeah,
We don't have project managers at Parlor.
yeah, but
um
like, yeah, that is true. Because I mean, a couple months ago when we were doing like project based approaches to things in Parlor,
mhm,
whether that's like product work, marketing initiatives, whatever it is, like we were all doing it by projects, and we were product managers
mhm.
leading those projects.
Exactly, yeah. So we've explained what product managers are. Like I think project managers are very similar in the sense that they're involved in getting something from ideation to development, but they're much less involved in the day-to-day strategy. In my, this isn't even from my experience. This is just, I'm just saying what I feel because I haven't worked with a project manager. I
I
don't really
have,
know any.
I
Yeah.
have, yeah, at Optum, there was a project manager for sure. He had like he was an awesome dude. I loved him, but there was definitely a difference. He was more focused on just like delivering what he was set out to deliver.
Mm,
That makes sense. We're like product managers, you're doing the same thing, but um, I would say PM being a product is more about like identifying customer problems, either in the market or from your current customers, and then developing solutions to those problems through building new products or new features, new functionality, resolving bugs. And I would say project managers, um, it can range very like it doesn't have to be specific to like product work. It can be like marketing stuff. It can be like super technical engineering stuff. It can be
mm.
like HR stuff, operation stuff. Like it's very broad in terms of what the scope for a project manager can be.
And it's more like you correct me if I'm wrong. Like my assumption is that it's more about getting something from that ideation stage to completion in the smoothest way possible.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
so
agree with that. This is my opinion as well.
we're
I'm
not
not giving any facts.
yeah, we don't have like PMPPs or whatever the project
Yeah.
management certification is. I see that on a lot of titles. But yeah, it's it's similar to what we do. I think that's why like we don't do a great job differentiating, because we do a lot of the work a project manager would do. But it's kind of that day-to-day upkeep of like checking in on the tasks, making sure that things are done in a timely fashion, helping with like project estimates and finding where things might fit into a roadmap, whether it's a product roadmap or marketing initiative roadmap, for example.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would
And
say almost every role has some type of project management in it, if you think about it.
mhm,
Like when, say, you're onboarding a new customer, there's a set of tasks, and like it's pretty much like its own mini project that to successfully onboard a customer. There's a set
right.
of tasks you want to do that are tailored to that customer. They could be just kind of repetitive tasks, but there's also some custom ones. And then like implementation, that's another type of project you can run. I feel like every type of role has some aspect of project management in it. But I do see the value in having like dedicated project managers that can just go in there and make sure that things are done right and are finished in a reasonable amount of time.
hmm Do you think there's a lot of like opportunities for project managers to transition into product management? Do you think that that's like a easy transition or a common one?
Yeah, I think so. I was actually talking about this, not product management specifically, but just general like career growth and arc and everything. And I was saying like when you first start in your career, like you really focus on like executing what you set out, what your manager gives to you. So like your product side, your manager gives you the direction, the vision of what they want a feature to be, and you really focus on executing that vision to deliver the new product, the new feature, the new functionality. Or from like customer success side, I could be speaking totally on my ass, but like you're given a set of accounts and you want to successfully like onboard them, make sure they're getting value out of the product, and so you're really just executing based on the strategy that your manager gives you. And so I think with project management, you're really honing and refining your execution skills, which can easily transfer over into either a product role, marketing role, whatever it could be.
Mm. Yeah, it's another super multidisciplinary role that I think would do, help anybody get some experience in, tech and transition into another role. Kind of help you like get exposed to the different areas, because you,
Yeah,
similar to product managers, you're involved in, across the different disciplines, and kind of put yourself out there, see what you like, and
exactly.
or you could just be a project manager forever. Like
Yeah.
what's like the hierarchy for project management? Senior product project manager?
Maybe go into like operations.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no
That
like
could be,
director of project management.
yeah, I think you probably, I don't know, we could be just
Uh,
talking out our ass again, but I feel like you would go into like the operations type of
yeah.
space.
I could, yeah, that makes sense. That
Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah. If we're completely off, if there's a project manager listening,
And this
please.
wants to just
Yeah. Let us
snap
let
on
us
us,
know.
yeah, and say we're not,
We're very ignorant.
yeah, we're not trying to disrespect nobody.
No.
But I
No,
would
it's
say
just
like,
like
go ahead.
it was just an observation. I just
Yeah,
thought about it. It's like I've never heard of like a senior project manager.
yeah. I mean, it
It's
is like a very lucrative career. I feel like because I feel like no company would ever reject somebody who can just get things done regardless of what it
mm,
is. And I
that's
feel like,
ops. Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
feel like that's what
ops.
project managers are. Like they just get stuff done regardless the task or project. It's always going to be good ones. At least always get it done in a reasonable amount of time without what is it like going over budget or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
budget, time.
Yeah,
Lots of constraints. Whatever
yeah.
ones are important to your
Everyone loves
company.
getting stuff done. So
Hmm
I think that does it for our episode 1 of our new first series, the Product Mythbusters. Do you want to give a little recap?
Yeah, yeah. So product managers are not the CEOs of the product. They're very much directed by others within the company, both above them and beside them. But there's still a lot of individual decision making responsibilities. So if that's something you're looking for, it still may be a good role for you. At the same time, they're certainly not the sole decision makers. They're very much, influential in the kind of direction of, features that they're responsible for. But, there's, a good product manager definitely takes into account, inputs from, folks across the different disciplines. And product and project managers are not the same. What exactly the project management role entails, maybe we shouldn't be the ones to explain that. Maybe we need to
Right.
get a project manager on.
Right, and explain that. But we can speak from the product side. PMs are mostly about identifying customer pain points, whether that's current customers or out in the market, and then developing solutions to help solve those pain points by working with engineers and designers,
Amongst many.
amongst many
But
other
yeah,
people. Yeah, that is episode 1 of the Product Mythbusters. We'll be back next week for episode 2 when we have a couple more myths to kind of try to debunk from our experience. These aren't facts.
I like episode 2. But if there's any that you think ought to be considered, let us know. Maybe we'll slide it in, a little bonus reel.
I love it. All right, until next week, take care.
We out.